going to go over the basics of keyframes. You'll need to bring in, for this project, you'll need to bring in a picture that you're going to work with. So it's over here. I'm just going to click and drop it on my timeline. Okay. Where we're going to be working with keyframes is up here. As soon as you select, and by the way, please remember you can switch workspaces. You can go, I'm on the editing workspace, as you can see, instead of the learning workspace. If you're using it to learn, awesome. Otherwise, screen real estate is very valuable in Adobe. So get rid of it so you have a little bit of room to work with. Okay. Automatically, this is a video. This is not a video, but it's going to be under those elements. Please understand that for this, you're probably going to stretch this out. So the picture's there as long as your project takes. Okay. So it's one long version. Now, what keyframes do is, you can adjust all these things. Doesn't matter what it is, how black and white it is, how dark it is, how light it is, the way it's rotated. There are hundreds of things, literally, that you can adjust in Premiere Pro. What keyframes add is the ability to change how they act over time. Okay, so it's this dark now, it's that dark later, and you can move those around. That can get confusing when you've got a lot of different keyframes going on. So a couple things need to happen before you start keyframes. One, this video clip is selected. That's what I'm applying my changes to. Secondly, my cursor is where I want it to be at the beginning of the video. So once I'm there, what I'm going to do is create a set of keyframes that blow this up and move it to the bottom right. Okay. So I'm only going to be working with position and scale. This is where my keyframes will appear. Notice that there are none right now. Okay. As soon as I say, hey, and these are simple. If you don't know this already, you got these little, you can click on the number and use those sliders. Okay, which is really funny. That one's happens to be horizontal movement, but it's still the slider. You're changing the number, you're changing the vertical movement too. Okay, so I'll be using those. But that's just going to put it where it is and leave it there. It's not going to change it over time. If I want to change it over time, nothing happens until I click the stopwatch. As soon as I do, you see that this is added, okay? And it adds an automatic keyframe wherever the cursor is, okay? That's the beginning of my keyframes. Quick question. That's going to give it that position at that time, okay? Now, I want it to move, but I'm going to move it in time. How many seconds? Let's go 4 seconds, okay? Over the course of 4 seconds, it's going to move, okay? It's going to move down here. It's going to move over. I don't want to go all the way because I'm going to blow it up some. And it's going to move down, okay? That's where I want it to be then, okay? So note that I now have a second keyframe. If I move this back, that's where it is. So when I press play, it moves between those two. And then I don't put in another keyframe, it stays there. Okay? So there we go. There's that. Relatively simple concept so far, right? So open a picture, create keyframes, and move it for me. I'm going to give you guys about another minute. Okay? I just either want you transferring this knowledge to your hands or knowing what questions you have later. Okay, that's what this time is for. Okay, now I'm going to move down to scale. How do I adjust scale using keyframes? What's the first thing I need to do? I'm adjusting how it's going to look over time. Somebody tell me the first thing I need to do. It starts with a C and ends in lick the stopwatch, strangely. Good thing that C's there. I'm getting very good. I'm going to click the stopwatch. Boom. I've got my first keyframe right there. okay? But I want this guy moving all the way down into the corner. Like, oh no, sorry. I want this guy to go from 100% as high up as it'll go in this resolution. That's big enough. But when I do that, if you notice, now I got to move, have to adjust this keyframe. Okay. So it's up a little, and this keyframe to go a little to the left so it stays on. Okay. Usually blow up before you do the other stuff. Okay. Cool. Here's my problem. I didn't move my cursor. So I got to move this scale back to 100. You will do this a lot. Okay. Because I needed to move my cursor to that second point in time. Okay. And then I needed to blow this up. Actually, I know the number now. 322. And so I definitely am an advocate for do the sizing first. And you see what happens when I don't have the quality to do this. That's why I've got really grainy garbage there, but I can still illustrate it for you, okay? Now, if I play this, okay, I don't know what that last bit's about. So I'm going to go ahead and recreate this. I'm going to delete a keyframe. I think I have two keyframes right on top of each other. Yep, sure enough. And that second one is my troublemaker. So it's all right. So it's that simple. If a keyframe's causing you problems, don't try to fix it. Don't try to rehab it. Just get rid of it and start over, because it's easy to accidentally add keyframes. It's very, very frustrating. So just delete them and start over. It's just one more quick practice. It doesn't take long. In fact, I'm going to move up here to position and click here to add a keyframe, right? That didn't take long, right? Easy fixing. Now, something else to know about keyframes is this. You can click and drag them. You can shorten up that time, okay? So we can change how these two work together, okay? It's fully blown up, okay? So you can shorten that whole sequence there. Keyframes. Keyframes are your friends. Okay, cool. That's the hard part.